I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Tekla, the head of business development from APEX Protocol. Tekla, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Ashton, hi. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Likewise, I'm excited to dive into the decentralized exchange, derivatives markets, and everything that APEX has been working on. It looks like, a refreshment to the exchange world of cryptocurrencies and derivatives. So thank you for all the work that you and your team have done so far. And I'm excited to dive into the details. Let's just kick it off from the top to start for those who aren't familiar with APEX on a little bit of the overview and the focus of what is APEX Pro, and then we'll dive into all the details.
Great, thank you. My name is Tekla. I'm head of business development at APEX Protocol. A little bit about our product. Our product, APEX Pro, is a non-custodial, non-KYC derivatives DEX built on a decentralized and permissionless APEX protocol, and it offers access to high-performance perpetual contracts on an order book model while operating within the Web3 social trading ecosystem. A little bit about our history. APEX launched on the mainnet officially in November of 2022. And since then, we have become one of the most well-adopted DEXs on the market, with more than 11,000 unique users and trading volume exceeding 5 billion.
Wow.
It should be noted, that APEX is a Bybit Launchpad project. It was incubated by Davian Labs and is backed by such names as Dragonfly Capital, Jump Trading, Kronos, Marana Ventures, etc. It can actually be accessed directly from Bybit because it is integrated on Bybit. And the platform is extremely user-friendly, very easy to use, it's intuitive, it's high performance, privacy preserving, secure, all of these aspects being sort of underpinned by our integration of StarkX, which is Starkware's layer 2 scalability engine. And sort of to look forward a little bit, APEX will soon be wading into the waters of Web3 social trading as well, giving users the opportunity to mint their SBTs, the soul-bound tokens, which will represent their identities basically on our platform. Minting and burning SBTs, as well as sort of tailoring of the SBTs, will be completely up to the user's discretion and done entirely through smart contracts. So that way we're going to be avoiding the pitfalls and limitations and sort of restrictions that we currently know about copy trading on centralized exchanges, giving more liberty and control over their data and identity to the users themselves.
Wow, incredible. And you mentioned there that APEX was really launching around November 22. From what I recall, that was like the bottom of the market, and there was a lot of fear in the market. And I'm curious, and it sounds like the numbers so far are really great. I'm curious on how that start was, and was there any fear, or like how did you guys start so successfully in such a dire time?
It was exactly 2 weeks after the horrible implosion that we all witnessed. In a way, yes, it was the market sentiment at the time. I mean, we all remember it was really negative. There was a lot of distrust and sort of stress going around and sort of reverberating throughout the entire market. That being said, I think the events of the 2022 really brought forward the important issue of self-custody, something that, it was talked about, but I think it has really come to the forefront. Self-custody, what it means actually to have the custody of your own funds, what we mean when we say your keys, your coins, or not your keys, not your coins, I should say. So I think we were all quite anxious when we were launching on the mainnet in November, at the end of November, but I do have to say our trading volume during the first 24 hours, while it was still in the beta stage, it was averaging about 3 million per day. And then we launched and it suddenly shot up to 60 million overnight. So there was definitely that interest to make that switch, I guess, from centralized exchanges onto decentralized exchanges that, and especially APEX, that's offering, very much offering sort of like bridging the gap between centralized and decentralized exchanges. In terms of the interface, in terms of usability, in terms of sort of efficiency, it's very similar to centralized exchanges, while at the same time offering privacy, trustlessness, permissionlessness, non-KYC-ness that the centralized exchanges are known for. So I guess the sort of like perfect cocktail really did the thing, and we did see interest expressed in the trading volume sort of really exponentially increase overnight. And throughout, the following months, following weeks, we did see interest in sort of like trader numbers increase on our platform. More and more traders are using it as the time goes by, and we'd love to see it because right now it definitely is not the the bliss. It's not the best times to in the crypto market. It's not the spring, but so far so good.
Yeah, no, I think it might have just been that perfect solution. I see, a narrative of moving towards more decentralized exchanges, and it could have been the perfect time. People that they saw, FTX might have been the nail in the coffin for centralized exchanges. However, we're still seeing, Bybit's doing well. Binance has the majority of volume, and I think there's a lot of people that are still, for one reason or another, not moving into decentralized exchanges yet. And one of the factors is the usability and the easiness of it, but also the performance as well. And I'm curious on the performance of APEX as a DEX compared to a centralized exchange. It sounds like you guys have the scalability, speed. How does that compare as a decentralized exchange to what people are used to with centralized exchanges?
Right. So APEX is sort of one of in terms of sheer speeds, processing speeds, it's one of the fastest DEXs out there. When it comes to transactions, the protocol actually has the ability to process 10 trades and 1,000 order placements and cancellations per second. All of this, again, goes back to the scalability engines and them allowing like StarkX, allowing us to scale those solutions and manage execution and proving separately onto different chains, which is really what boosts the performance of APEX in this case, while at the same time ensuring that it's secure, it's trusted, guaranteed to be privacy preserving, which all of this happens through the integration of ZK proofs and Validiums, and Validium, I should say. So in that sense, it does incredibly well. In terms of performance speeds, we haven't had one complaint from our users when it comes to transaction processing speeds. I do have to comment on why, it's interesting, isn't it? With everything that has happened, we still see, of course, there are a lot of traders that still use more larger centralized exchanges. And that definitely has to do with, I guess, the history of use as well. Once you start using a certain exchange, I guess there is a sort of loyalty to keep in mind. But also, I already mentioned the idea of self-custody. And I think as much as all of us might think that this is the idea that should be very widespread and sort of no-nonsense idea of course, keep your money in a non-custodial, self-custodial, I should say, a self-custodial wallet. Why you're keeping it is on an exchange, which, as we have seen in 2022, it probably is not the most secure place to deposit your funds or keep your funds, I should say, right? But there is still complacency, and there is still, I think, a little bit of hill to go over as far as the idea of self-custody is concerned. Fortunately enough, we are, I think, approaching time where this is not going to be sort of a roadblock. There are, technology and innovations like account abstraction that are going to make it so much easier for users to adopt self-custodial wallets, because I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to adopting self-custodial wallets is that people don't trust themselves to keep those keys safe. So, innovations like account abstraction will hopefully remove that one roadblock. And hopefully once that sort of hurdle is overcome, we will see even greater adoption and greater movement, between centralized and decentralized exchanges.
No, it's a great point. And I feel like there is some hesitancy of learning something new or taking extra steps.
Exactly.
And I'm curious, with the self-custody wallets, when you're trading on APEX as the DEX, how does that work? Can you use any kind of wallets, or do you have to use specific self-custody wallets that are approved by APEX when you want to trade your funds?
So there are 8 options right now on APEX, and we're constantly adding new options. There's also Wallet Connect available on APEX. So we're giving our users as much of flexibility as possible. We do want to be welcoming to users of all walks of life. One of the reasons why we opted to make this an order book model is exactly what you said. Sometimes users are usually prefer to use the platform and the interface that they are very used to seeing, that they can navigate easily because they're familiar with it. So our interface is also welcoming. Like if you look at the interface, and since we are so closely tied with Bybit, if you have ever used Bybit as your centralized exchange and know the interface at all, then you will have no trouble at all transitioning onto APEX. But now how it functions, like in terms of like, so like how do you trade on APEX, right? So you go on the exchange. The only thing that you have to do in order to trade on APEX is you just connect your wallet. You literally click the connect wallet button, and then it gives you options, whichever wallet you want to connect, whether that's MetaMask or whether that's Bybit's Web3 wallet, for example, that we just recently integrated. You connect to it, you provide signatures, and that's it. You're connected, and you can immediately start depositing funds on the exchange. But again, even when you deposit funds, those funds remain yours because you hold the keys. It's just a wallet interacting with the exchange in order to facilitate the transaction that you would want to, conduct on an exchange. So even when you are sort of, making a transaction or placing an order, when you're depositing funds in order to do all of that on APEX, you still remain as a user the sole custodian of those funds. So for example, even if, for example, APEX were to, for whatever reason, go offline, you would still be able to trigger a process that would, get your funds back into your wallet. So it's completely, there is no way for the exchange itself to in any way mismanage funds, simply because we take no custodianship, we take no keys from you. Those remain with you by the simple feature of you connecting your self-custodial wallet and trading through that on APEX.
Wow, that's great to know. And yeah, I know MetaMask is simple enough for a lot of people. I know there's already millions using it. So, and to have 8 other options is great to know. Now, one thing I'm curious about with the limitations of decentralized exchanges is this notion that we're moving towards multi-chain future and interoperability, and I'm curious how APEX as a DEX fits into that with multi-chain support and supporting multiple blockchains.
So in terms of multi-chain, so currently we have 4 chains. We're a multi-chain DEX, so you can we have Polygon, BSC, Ethereum, and Arbitrum. So you can use any of these 4 chains. So like currently what they do right now, what you can do through these 4 chains, we allow cross-chain deposits and withdrawals. You can also, do like cross-margin trading between these like 4 chains. We also launched staking program in January, mid-January, but now we can stake on Arbitrum as well. We only recently just launched that. So we're trying to adapt and develop and integrate the multi-chain technology as much as possible. Again, in order to, this is all about inclusion. This is all about sort of integrating people with different preferences into this one ecosystem and making it as inclusive as possible, and not sort of barring or providing like artificial barriers for entry for our users.
Okay, that's great to know. And one of the other parts that's related to that was a big pain point with sort of decentralized exchanges, especially with Uniswap on Ethereum, was that when the network was congested, some of the transaction fees were $50, $100. It was getting crazy. I'm guessing if you're using Arbitrum or some of these other layer 2 networks, then that doesn't impact, can people make small trades on APEX and not be impacted by larger transaction fees?
So our fees are maker-taker fee model, and hence you depending on like the trade placed, you pay maker-taker fees. Maker fees are set at 0.02%, and taker fees are set at 0.05%. They're also in a sort of an indirect way, we're also rebating part of the paid fees back to our users. Through one of the biggest ways that we are doing this is through our Trade to Earn program, which we kicked off right as we launched in November in 2022. And it's an ongoing program. It's going to go on until November of 2023. The only prerequisite in order to participate is to just trade. And then in weekly increments, using a Cobb-Douglas function, special formula, you get, which you can like track the sort of balance of your rewards on our page. You get rewarded with one of our tokens, which is the BANA token, the rewards token, which you can immediately swap into USDC, or if you'd like, you can add liquidity to BANA USDC liquidity pool, which will grant you LP tokens. And the more LP tokens you hold, the higher your BANA rewards are in the subsequent weekly epochs. Or you can just keep, hold on to those BANA rewards. And because BANA was minted from APEX at the end of Trade to Earn, you can redeem APEX at a pro rata basis. Basically, the longer you hold on to BANA, the better the exchange rate back into APEX becomes at the end of trade to earn campaign. So yeah, trading fees are quite low. Relatively speaking, comparative to the market. And in addition to that, we're also sort of incentivizing our users to trade on APEX through programs like Trade to Earn, in addition to many other incentives that we have, incentive programs that we have run previously, and are also currently, we're holding a trading competition, through which we're also trying to encourage our customers to try APEX, to trade on APEX, to show us their trading skills. It's ranked by P&L percentage, and their rewards pool adds up to $100,000. So yeah, we're trying to be one of the biggest things for our exchange, I think, is, in our platform, is we love giving back to our community, and we love seeing their feedback, hearing their feedback. Currently we have 11 pairs, I think 12 pairs already, and we're adding more trading pairs as time goes on. And when we were adding new pairs, we actually ran a Twitter poll to see what our community wanted to see on the exchange. So we're trying to build a community that's very involved with APEX, and we are also doing our part in giving back to the community, not just hearing their feedback, not just them doing the simple thing of like coming and trading on APEX, but actually building a community that is symbiotic and sort of like hears each other on both fronts. So, That's
good to hear, and I'm glad the community is involved in that.
Yeah.
I feel like as a decentralized exchange, you should have that democratic process to allow people to see.
Definitely.
Next. Yeah.
Definitely. And since we're sort of on the way to launch a governance module as well, by which if the holders of APEX token, which is our native governance token, will have governance rights once the governance module launches. We are leading up to that, but we are still, even though there is no governance module yet, we are acting in the spirit of that, democracy, in the spirit of that community governance that we're gonna integrate really soon.
Great. And with the launch so timely of APEX, right when the centralized exchanges were having issues, what do you think there's going to be more catalysts of millions of traders that are using centralized exchanges moving over to decentralized exchanges? And what do you think will be the next big thing where all of a sudden millions of people are sort of rushing into DEXs like APEX? Right.
So I hope that the thing that causes a lot of people to rush to DEX is not going to be something that's going to break the sector. I hope it's not sort of like a cataclysmic event. I very much hope that it's more something in terms of just an educational, sort of like a paradigm shift. Because when you think about it, the cornerstone of crypto is expressed so much better in a decentralized, in the DeFi space. Crypto was never, from its inception, it was supposed to be decentralized. It was supposed to be privacy preserving. It was supposed to be trustless, permissionless. The whole sort of like, those are the cornerstones of crypto sector as a whole. Yeah, we have centralized exchanges, which obviously like they made crypto adoption so much easier, and they sort of like made crypto mainstream. But when we talk about the cornerstone of this sector and like what made this sector sort of what the sector is built on, those are the values that are exemplified by DeFi, exemplified by an exchange like APEX. So I think that probably the catalyst to transitioning, we are definitely already seeing sort of the shift towards DEXs on the market. And that was obviously perpetuated by what happened last year, what happened in November. But I think along with that comes also more of an sort of like an educational movement where people are getting more interested. You said it. It's really hard to suddenly, especially in this sector where trust is such an issue, and like where you have to obtain users' trust in order to be able to survive, in order to be able to develop in the sector, right? So I think what's going to nudge people even further into the direction of DeFi and direction of DEXs is sort of like an educational movement that we're seeing happening right now, where people are getting interested to learn more about decentralized world, decentralized finance, how it functions, what props it up, what are the guarantees, like how do you guarantee privacy, security, again, self-custody, what it means. I spoke so much about it already, but like this is a big topic I think that's going to be even like highlighted even further going forward. Like what are the guarantees? How do you like ensure the speed and the scalability of DEXs so that they can match up and maybe one day even surpass those of the centralized exchanges that we know today. So I think it's probably going to be sort of this interest driven by events such as, the implosion in November, paired with simply just development of, tech development and innovation that happens so fast in this sector. So yeah, well, the more roadblocks are removed from the path of the users, the wider the adoption is going to be. And I think that's sort of the pathway that the entirety of like the DeFi sector is currently on, thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great perspective, Tekla, and I think combining that with multi-chain and layer 2 and adoption,
Exactly.
like a lot of wallet options, it's just going to make it really easy for people not to use, when they see that it's just as easy, except there's no risk of losing all your funds from some centralized crash. They're going to want to use things like APEX. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we hope.
And now it sounds like your team's doing really well so far since the launch, and looking at the current market conditions, they could obviously be better. I'm hoping the rest of 23 and 24 just proves positive for the whole market as well.
Fingers crossed.
I'm sure that you guys have more planned for expansion and growing the product and things like that. What can we expect for 2023, whether the first half or throughout this year, and what are the next big things to come to be released on APEX?
Right. So in the first quarter, as I mentioned, we launched a staking program. That was one big upgrade that our community was really looking forward to. So that was sort of like the big event that happened in the first quarter. Going forward, one of the biggest plans that we have for 2023 is, and I mentioned this already, we want to host a soulbound token minting event at the end of the second quarter of 2023, and allow our traders to mint their SBTs. Again, to reiterate, those SBTs are going to represent the user's digital identities, and users will have complete control over building that identity through trades, their patterns. All of that is going to be encapsulated in this SBT, which, if they would so like, they can also then burn through smart contracts. Again, APEX will not be keeping any of the data, will not have access to any of the data, and will not be able to have sort of control over it. So hopefully the minting event is going to be scheduled, and it's going to happen at the end of the second quarter of 2023. Then throughout the third quarter, we would hopefully be seeing the launching of social trading tools so that our users can take full advantage of social trading on APEX. And lastly, by the end of 2023, we would also like to introduce spot trading on APEX Pro. It's also something that our users have been sort of clamoring for. So we're looking forward to developing those features and adding them to the platform. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. And if the people want to follow along with these updates when they come out, or maybe there's a community, or just to learn more about the platform before they start trading, what's the best way to stay in touch with everybody that's using APEX?
So we have a very loud and very involved community of users. I think the best way to sort of keep up with APEX is to follow us on our Twitter account, where we post. This is the first place where all the news and updates get posted. We also have a very active Discord community. So Discord users, please check out our Discord. It's incredibly communal. It's very sort of friendly. Everybody is very involved with the process, and the voting sometimes takes place there. We have a bunch of quests that you can complete. It's all very active and very there's a lot of camaraderie on Discord as well. For all the sort of like official links, and also, first and foremost, to access APEX, you can visit apex.exchange. That way you can also access our Gitbook if you want to sort of dig into more of a technical aspect of things, or you can also access the blog, which details sort of history of APEX, really. Every single upgrade we've done, integrations and collaborations, all of those things, everything is detailed in our blog. So it's also a very nice resource to see sort of where we started and how far we have come. So, and yeah, our website really is the sort of the main gateway to all the other channels. So if you just go to apex.exchange, you will be able to access our social media, our Discord, the blog, the Gitbook, the exchange itself that you should connect your wallet and trade on. So yeah, go to apex.exchange.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tekla. And I will leave all those links, the socials, the exchange, trading, everything in the description box below. I appreciate you coming on and explaining all of this about decentralized exchanges, the future of trading. All the best with these updates moving forward with APEX. I'm looking forward to the soulbound part that I'm going to check out right when it gets released as well. So let's definitely follow up in the near future.
Would be very glad to do so. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Ashton.